As a Christian, what sort of relationship should we have with digital currency? Does the Bible ever say anything about this? Now, in our day of supposed artificial intelligence and cryptocurrency and technology exploding and all this kind of stuff, we are being ushered into something that we might not be aware of, but that is this extreme reliance and trust in technology because it's just easy. If you'll notice, it is becoming easier and easier to make deposits. Like, we don't even have to make deposits. We set up everything on direct deposit. Or if someone writes us a check, we don't even have to take it to the bank. We just take a picture of the check and it is deposited. If we want to send and receive money, we just get on some kind of application that sends and receives the money for us. And if we want to pay with something, we just wave our phone around or give some kind of command and a payment is made, and it's all super easy. So what kind of relationship should a Christian have with this? One of the things that we should consider is that Proverbs calls out that the flesh is lazy, and it actually very much decries the flesh being lazy. That is never seen as a good thing. And so if we are focused on something because we're lazy, not because it's good, right, or proper, then we might be in for a hurting later on. With this, you got to ask yourself the question. The Proverbs talks about being wise. Have we ever had any kind of problems with digital currency? And I'll just share with you some of the ones I've run into very clearly. Years ago, I needed to get some money out of my mutual funds to do things like pay my house note. And so I asked ahead of time. I said, well, when I need this money back, how long will it take? And they're like, oh, we can get your money within a week. Within a business week, you can have your money. No big deal. So I came across very hard times. I go to withdraw my money from the bank, and it took weeks and weeks and weeks. I don't remember exactly how many weeks, but it was enough that it ruined my credit. It ruined my peace at night. It ruined so many things. I was so stressed because the money that was mine, I was not able to get it simply because somebody wasn't doing the right process somewhere else. Well, then with the COVID lockdowns, I don't have any proof of this, but it just seems very clear that the first day of the lockdowns, that the cards that everybody had, at least in the area I was in, were being shut down on purpose. You typically had to take your card and run it about 5 different times before it went through. Now, maybe there was some kind of fluke in the system, etc., but from managing a store previous, I know that your systems have to run, and they have to run very well, and they've got to be up and running. And most problems, tech support can fix within a very, very short amount of time. But all day long, everywhere that I went, people were telling me that the system is just down. The system is down. The system is down. All throughout the day at several different types of store, everybody's systems were down. And they were like, it's okay. Every customer's experiencing the same issue. Almost as if nothing nefarious was going on. Another thing you see is that your bank will randomly just block purchases and go, wait, that's not in your normal vein of purchasing, so you're not allowed to purchase that. And it used to be just large items, but if you'll pay attention, it's even small items these days. So I know I got online the other day to just purchase something $50 worth, and it was like, rejected because this isn't in your normal purchasing spectrum. Yikes. If we think further about identity theft, these things it's just wisdom really needs to be considered. Is it wise to just continue to turn ourselves completely over to a digital sphere of currency? Now, here's something you've really got to consider too. When you have cash, you physically own something. So if you have $1,000 in cash, you have $1,100 bills or however many 20s or however many, it could be 1,000 ones. But if you actually own it, you physically own it, then you physically get to manipulate how much you carry with you, how much you leave at home, how much you put in a safe, how much you give to your children, etc. You physically own that. But with a digital system, you give intellectual rights to someone else, and anything physical is tied to their computer, and whether their computer and their system says that you have anything on it, and we expect them to keep accurate records. But then if I go to purchase it somewhere, they have a system, and system one has to talk to system two, and the only thing that I really own is information about all that, but we've seen information stolen. And the only other thing I really have is a password. Well, passwords are good, and protect yourself with the passwords, etc. But what I want you to understand is that we have turned digital ownership into a complete system of trust. Basically, we are trusting someone else and their system entirely. And when you bring the Bible into this, the Bible says that human nature is broken, backwards, in need of redemption. It is not good, it is evil in nature. So I ask, have you ever had anything stolen from you digitally? Like if we're talking about the total entrustment of our culture to digital currency, have you ever had it stolen from you? Have you ever had somebody wrongly use your information or your social security number or your passwords or your bank account, or you don't even know how they pulled it off, but all of a sudden there were these false and fraudulent purchases pop up? Sure. And this happens so frequently now, we're kind of used to it, which is not a good thing. And so this system of trust is being developed where we just trust digitally everything's being okay, even though we have examples of bad people doing bad things. Now, I remember several years ago there was a vending machine that was out of order, okay? So if you put in any kind of quarters or whatnot, as long as you mashed the drinks on the panel after you put your money in, you could get as many drinks as you wanted. And I happened to be near a bunch of Christians during this time period, and when somebody put this 50 cent in, some of these guys would get 12 drinks. Even though they'd only purchased one, they'd keep mashing that button or however it was misfiring at the time. But they would just do it. Now, so we have good people, Christians, I think they were Christians, who were stealing because it was easy and available. If Christians will steal when something's easy and available, and we already have examples of people stealing digitally, why would we not think that worse could happen? If you're familiar with systems, and if you think back very long, Bernie Madoff and his pyramid scheme, just by trust, ripped off hundreds of millions of dollars, and potentially it might have been even in the billions of dollars from people just because they trusted him. Seemed like a good guy, seemed like he knew what he was doing, seemed like he was a great investor. He was doing a lot for his people, and they just trusted him. And then here recently, we've had the crypto couple that stole billions of dollars. Why this crypto scam got a whole bunch of people invest. They sell out. They just leave immediately, or whatever they do. They just rip people off to the tune of billions. And do we think that the future day is not coming when someone might just choose to turn people's accounts off and go against them? And just recently, they're up in Canada, when the truckers and the freedom lovers were surrounding different cities and whatnot and saying, hey, we want things to be different in our culture, the government there just turned them off. Digitally, they just turned off their accounts. Now, I'm not telling you that digital currency is evil, but I'm telling you that human beings are evil, that the Bible warns us of a day and age that is coming where digital currency or potential digital currency could be used against someone, where they wouldn't be allowed to buy or sell, and you need to be aware of it. And if you're a wise Christian, you might even stand against it as much as you possibly can. As a Christian, I think we should take a wise position on this and do some thinking about what may be good for our near future.